How you doing? I'm Mike Gatty, and welcome to this extra special Tasty Tidbit. Well, COVID-19 is finally letting us out of our prisons, which are better known as our houses, and into local restaurants and eateries and bars. At least if you're brave. Thankfully, we're not in Florida or Dallas or Louisiana or any of those other places where people have decided not to get vaccinated and now are experiencing huge spikes in COVID. COVID this week has been going up and down in Maryland. I don't know if you noticed the latest numbers, but today's Tuesday, this morning when I checked, there were about 420 new cases in Maryland across the entire state. On Monday, there were 500 and some, and so it's sort of bouncing around, but remaining under the 600 threshold. So, I have decided to take a risk and to go out and to finally start eating. And so tonight I was having dinner alone, and I stumbled upon a new place that opened in April called Half Smoked. You may be familiar with it. I was not. And I literally, when I find a restaurant, I don't look at the menu. I'm not one of those people who stare at the menu at the door studying what I'm going to have. I tend to just go in, eyeball it, see yes, no, and sit down. This has gotten me some of the best food I've ever had. It's also gotten me some of the strangest food I've ever had. I was in Montreal, Canada, and went into a place, did not read the menu, and it turned out they served nothing but duck. Quack, quack, duck. That kind of duck. I'm not a big fan of duck. It was all French. And I looked at the menu, and I picked some duck ravioli. And you know what? It was absolutely fantastic. And it is not something I normally would have ordered. It was not a place I normally would have stopped in, except for the fact that I was hungry, it was there, it looked cute, and so in I sashayed. Tonight was kind of a similar story, except Baltimore style. Driving along, was heading, frankly, to go get sushi for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and instead noticed that this place, Half Smoked, was open. It is in the shopping center where Outback Steakhouse is, right off of Boston Street, that little shopping center in there. There's a local wine store, which I highly recommend, by the way, just as another extra special tasty tidbit. I tend to get my wine there, and I really just love the proprietors. It is a small local owned store. They have wine tastings, etc. So if you haven't stopped in there, stop in there. But this Half Smoked was one of those restaurants I probably would not have eaten in had I actually stopped and read the menu, because I cannot remember the last time, just like duck, that I sat down and thought, I want sausage. And 90% of their menu, or at least 80% of their menu, is sausage sandwiches. There's chicken sausage and pork sausage and well, every kind of sausage you can imagine, and it's served on a brioche bun, which is another name for fancy hot dog bun, with some shredded lettuce, iceberg lettuce. Mine had grilled tomatoes on it, which were delicious, and your basics like pickles and stuff. And then it comes served hot dog style in a classic lunchbox. My particular lunchbox, I think, was Pac-Man. So that's kind of cool. I'm a sucker for atmosphere. And on the wall in back of me, or next to me, was neon lighting that said, "Don't grow up, it's a trick," or something like that, which I loved. So I love the atmosphere. I'm not sure whether, like, when Matthew and I are trolling along in the car and he says, "What do you want to eat?" I'll say, sausage. I don't know. Maybe I will, or maybe he will. At which point we'll do a U-turn and zip into the place. Everybody was nice. It was friendly. They had wonderful cocktail menu, but I don't tend to drink when I'm out, especially by myself, because of the whole drinking and driving thing. So I didn't get to sample that. And I had a side of mac and cheese. I think the sausage sandwich was $12 and the mac and cheese was another $7. My whole bill for the evening with an iced tea was under $30. I think with tip it was $32, so I think it was $26. So reasonable to cheap, in my opinion. And I liked it. Didn't love it, but I liked it. And if you were looking for a place to go, especially a new local owned place that's looking, frankly, I suspect, for bodies in those seats, and you want to stop by for a happy hour cocktail or something a little unusual, if you happen to love sausage, it's all homemade, and I just thought it was good. Not like, put the gas on and must go right now, can't, pass go, don't collect $200. But it was good. I will be bringing you these tasty tidbits from time to time when I find new places that you may have missed or overlooked. They're going to be places I either like or love. They're not going to be places I don't like. Because this podcast is all about celebrating Baltimore and celebrating the local and neighborhood eateries and restaurants and businesses in Baltimore. So if I go in and I just think it's, needs to go away, I'm just not going to mention it. So anyway, if you get a chance and if you love sausage, swing by Half Smoked. Meanwhile, have a great week. Oh, this week on the podcast, I have switched gears and I have Angela Schwartz. Angela is I guess now I can honestly say she's a world-renowned yoga instructor. She would not consider herself that because she's not that pretentious. But I'm telling you, COVID-19 hit and she had just become a yoga instructor and it hit and she had to shift gears, and before she knew it, she was hosting the International Day of Yoga. Day of International Yoga. I always mess it up. Anyway, I sit down and talk to her about yoga, and it was a fantastic conversation. We talked about everything, and her favorite people to help experience yoga are people like me who are a bit skeptical about whether yoga is for them. So if you're a skeptic, if you're thinking, oh God, a tree hugger podcast of yoga, I'm not sure I can handle that, and decide to, skip this episode, don't, because it's really interesting. She is charming. She was one of just those people that really loves what she does. I've known Angela for years because Matthew's known her for years. She was Matthew's best friend before I came on the scene, and I've been on the scene for 15 years. So don't miss this episode of the podcast coming out. It will drop on the Patterson Park podcast page with any luck on Friday. Meanwhile, have a great few days, and hopefully I'll get you on Friday. Talk to you soon.